Welcome to the Gin and Tonic Show. It's the 14th of June. We are non-Muslims talking about Muslims. We are non-Muslims talking about Islam. What is a non-Muslim? A non-Muslim is anybody who does not believe that the God of Islam is the only God. And a non-Muslim is somebody who does not pray to this God, who does not pay any money in the name of this God, and does absolutely nothing in the name of this God. This is just like a non-golfer does not automatically play volleyball. He just doesn't care about golf. So the video of the week that I selected is How Has Islam Influenced You? And it's a series. And the channel that we selected is Young Muslim Channel. And the Young Muslim Channel is full of the, Americans trying to sound all hip. And there you have a guy who also calls himself a sheikh or imam or something like this, and he really tells people that the Quran is full of scientific miracles. I don't understand why people still do this when everybody knows that this is not true, but they still do that. So this is showing how desperate they are for their mental masturbation, because that's what it boils down to. They ignore the dire problems Islam has, and they only keep the positive voices, just making themselves feel better about their beliefs. And I don't understand why they do that. Again, the misconception of the week, and I recommend anybody go and watch, because there's 4 or 5 of these, and it shows how simplistic these people are, how brainwashed and deluded they are when it comes to watching these videos, how they go and justify their own belief and saying, well, Islam has made me a better person. You don't need Islam to make you a better person. You just need to think of it and be a good person to be a better person. So I don't understand how Islam does that, and how Islam, on the other hand, makes other people into absolute animals. And they just ignore that. And they say, well, me, I'm a good person. Well, let me tell you, China is not because of Islam. It's because you're a better person than your God. Because anybody who listens to this God, well, then, there's things that you have to do. You have to chop off the necks of the disbelievers. That's what it says in the Quran. If you don't do that, brilliant, you're a nice guy. But it's not because of Islam. It's because you're a nice guy. As a misconception of the week, because I heard this again last week, is alcohol. Now, alcohol, everybody who's gone through school knows that it's like oxygen, hydrogen, and then carbon. And it's a combination of these 3 elements in varying degrees, and you have this hydroxyl, and then you have a saturated carbon atom. Now, the term alcohol originally referred to the primary alcohol, the ethyl alcohol, the ethanol. And this is the predominant alcohol in alcoholic beverages. But in Islam, you have a lot of people saying that you are supposed to avoid alcohol. Now, number one, alcohol is never mentioned anywhere in the Quran. The Quran only mentions khamr, which is something that covers. In other words, it requires interpretation. And the interpretation is then, well, you're supposed to avoid anything that distracts you from your prayer and from your God. But alcohol is never mentioned. And alcohol, what part of alcohol? What alcohol are you talking about? The Quran doesn't tell you. So this is a real huge misconception even Muslims have, who seem to think that alcohol is forbidden in the Quran. It's not. Okay, let's go to the news. And then, other than killing of Daesh and blah, blah, what do we have? Well, Daesh have managed another marketing and propaganda victory, and I need to give it to them. They managed to assemble several people, declare them as heads of, and declared they've all sworn allegiance to Baghdadi, the head of this terrorist organization. But I question the validity of this claim. Why would they need to coerce these people into joining if their approaches and goal were indeed similar? These tribes would have joyfully joined them from the get-go. But it's only now that they go and they say, well, here, after, I don't know, how long has Daesh existed? I think like 2 years already. Then now these people have come and joined us. And during the declaration, a captured soldier was murdered in front of them. And this is like a stark reminder what will happen if they change their minds. This is, again, terror and showing violence. And what I personally see as a defeat is that the US once again is getting involved and is sending troops there. And I don't understand why the US sees a need for it. Why do they think they can police the region? And what gives them the right to intervene here? I will never understand that. And then from Egypt, we're getting what could be, I don't know, good or bad news. Because the bad is that Sisi is in power. And the good news is, what is disturbing, which is the bad news, is the similarity when comparing it to the ex-dictator Mubarak. When you compare Mubarak and Sisi, you know, when it comes to media attention and this almost worshipping the man in the beginning, initially, you know. But then again, what could be good for the country is his focus on commercial success. So there's you know, good and bad. Like a benign dictatorship in Iran. You know, if you look back 40, 50 years, it started off okay, and the signs are there that this could turn ugly like it did in Iran, as voices of the opposition are brutally silenced and more human rights are violated. So maybe they're going to get it right, maybe not. This is going to be interesting. Now, anybody wants to pass the news, if you go to hangout.godless.ch, you're just going to go to the Hangout, you can watch. And no, sorry, it's the other way around. If you go to live.godless.ch, you see the live show, the way that is being broadcast right now. And if you go to hangout.godless.ch, then you will automatically join the Hangout, and you will be part of the panel. Okay, I think it's a bit too soon to summarize the developments in Turkey, because Erdogan and his Islamist vision has received a bit of a slap in the face. But in my eyes, it's still undecided, and I don't know what will happen in the country, whether it will reverse the current trend of further Islamization or try and join the 21st century and try and join Europe. We'll have to see. And I don't know if you remember last week, and this is a very funny story. Now, last week I mentioned that there was a female Muslim on a plane who made a huge story about not getting a Coke tin, and how this was discrimination, and that all she wanted was a closed tin, and then the flight attendant apparently said that she could use it as a weapon, and all this shit. And she's really milking this for all it's worth, okay? But this is what I found on a flyer forum when I looked a bit longer, where somebody says, I was actually on this flight, and I've been a reader of this forum, and it seems that this is all over the news, and it made me sign up so I could tell you what really happened, and hopefully stop this liar in her tracks. I was sitting close enough to hear her and everything that she said. The flight attendant came up to the lady, and she was the first to be approached because she was sitting in 7D or something, and took her order. And she ordered a Coke Zero and a hot green tea. Now, the flight attendant handed her the full Diet Coke with the cup on top, and then told her that the green tea would take a few minutes and she would get it to her as soon as possible. And the lady said very rudely and condescendingly to the flight attendant, she ordered a Coke Zero, and basically pushed the soda back to the flight attendant. The flight attendant said she was sorry and attempted to find a Coke Zero, which she didn't have. So she went off into first class, and she could only give her a portion of the can, not the full can. And this is when the lady in question started to freak out and told the flight attendant, what do you think I will use this as a weapon? Why can't I have the whole can? I think you're discriminating as I need your name. And then the lady just kept yelling to, I need your name, I'm being discriminated. And this is when a few passengers told her to shut the fuck up. And one guy said, shut your mouth, and then told her that she's being ridiculous over a can of Coke. And no one said anything anti-Muslim to her at all. She was the one who started screaming discrimination when she did not get what she wanted. The flight attendant asked her numerous times if she would like anything else, and this woman just basically pushed her away, with a hand in her face, and then got on her phone with a credit card and paid for the internet connection so that she should, start spinning her story on social media. And she was never in tears, and this person is a liar, plain and simple, and just pulling the discrimination card. Now, this is not me, okay? This is just what I read. So it seems that, number one, this woman is a professional victim who is looking for any kind of, like attention. And it seems that planes and Muslims simply don't work well together. Okay, that's tongue-in-cheek. Ignore that. That was just cheeky. But it just shows if you take both sides of the story, because I think last time I actually said I do not know what to make of this because we haven't heard the other side. So it's quite interesting. And then a couple of months ago, I remember we talked about a sex mountain where Muslims perform ritualistic sex in a specific way, a specified number of times, and this is with strangers, and it's supposed to cleanse your soul and open your mind for new opportunities and bring good fortune to you. Well, in Malaysia, just a couple of islands to the left, it's a bit different at times. Now, Muslims, I mean, we all know Muslims respect the local culture and would never dream of behaving in an intolerant way, and they wouldn't dream of wearing a burqa or a niqab in public or in a non-Islamic country. That's why they expect the same of visitors, right? Well, some tourists in Malaysia on a hiking trip in the mountains experienced this tolerance when they had a party, and they got naughty and they stripped naked, and okay, they behaved in an insulting way. Insulting to dead spirits, that is. I mean, they were just having fun, and they were not considerate enough. They thought, well, it's nighttime. We're having a party, so who the fuck cares? But the tour guide snitched on them. So what they did is they got a bit raucous, and then they went and they disturbed the dead spirits of the mountain. And then the tour guide snitched on them, and they were arrested, thrown in jail, and now they were deported for not respecting the local culture. And then the mountain got angry, apparently, causing an earthquake in the region. Yeah, really, because these youngsters stripped. One of the gods was angry that people would walk around how they were created and born, and punished the people they left behind with an earthquake. I mean, you can't make this up.
Okay,
I mean, isn't
stop
this...
spamming, but what has the mountain got to do with Islam right now? You have to summon this up a little bit for the listener, I think.
No, it's not. It's just that this on this mountain, there were the spirits of the dead were living there. That's it. So I can't see any Islamic thing. It's just that the dead spirits were living there, and the Muslims believe that because they insulted the spirits, the god of the mountain god got angry and punished them with an earthquake. I mean, do you have any other information?
No, I've read this story, but I mean, for me, what has to do a Muslim can't agree with this whole mountain god thing anyway. I think.
Well, I mean, it's according to them, they disturb the spirits of the dead, and this is an insult to Sharia, and that's why they were punished. That's why they were deported, never allowed to come back to Malaysia.
Ah, okay. So we have two sides. One the local, the old culture religion with the mountain god, and the other side is the spirit of the people anyway who got insulted because of the naked people.
Exactly.
Okay.
And the world is full of silly Muslims. Okay, there's one living in the UK where this is a brilliant story. He insists the Israeli Secret Service broke into his house because he is one of the founding members of the Muslim Public Affairs Committee in the UK. Now, how does he know that Mossad is behind all this? Well, they stole one of his shoes. So one of his shoes went missing, and he wakes up in the morning and says, "Oh my goodness, my shoe is missing." So the Mossad must have broken into my house and stolen one shoe.
Must be a very important shoe, I think.
I'm sorry, but this is so silly. This is so unbelievably silly. I mean, how much of a victim does this guy think he is? Just because he's a Muslim Public Affairs Committee member or founding member, he thinks Mossad is going to break into his house and steal the shoe. Oh, this is so silly. Now, okay, let me try and put this. This is okay. In Morocco, they had a TV show of Jennifer Lopez. She now has a court case on her hand because she's been accused of having a sexy bum. Seriously, the Muslims in Morocco are taking Jennifer Lopez to court because a TV station in Morocco aired one of her concerts and she was shaking her booty, and this is too sexy for the people in Morocco, so they are now taking her to court.
Shouldn't the TV station be taken to court if anybody should take him be to court?
I don't know. Why can't people just take it with a pinch of salt? I mean, if their God decides to make the booty of Jennifer Lopez a bit more sexy than other booties, well, then so be it. Then just look the other way if you can't handle it. You know, it's so funny that in Islam, the women are taught not to get raped instead of the men being taught not to rape, you know? It's so amazing. Anyway, and let's go back to something serious, okay? People around the globe are focusing on Daesh in hackathon competitions. Now, what is a hackathon? Well, it's hackers who have these competitions which were created to take down Daesh propaganda and stop the recruitment of foreign fighters and the nauseating display of these heroic poses when they shoot or decapitate or somehow torture other human beings. We had this announcement a couple of months ago by Anonymous, who said that they were going to target Daesh. So now apparently they're doing this in earnest, and they're really going into these hackathons to take down the Daesh propaganda. Because this is the way that it works. I mean, countless Twitter accounts and Facebook accounts have already been closed, where people have been trying, you know, to recruit people for Daesh. And now finally, here's an alternative for those Muslims who are frustrated and down, tired of being seen as backward and brutal. They have an alternative, the First Church of Cannabis. Instead of the 10 Commandments, you get the Divine Dozen, where useful tips are distributed on the usage of cannabis and the proper treatment of the shrub, of the growth, of the naturally occurring growth. And it's not only regarding cannabis, but it also gives you useful tips and not to troll on the internet and things like that. It's a modern religion. So there you go. If you're feeling down and out and you're missing your old buddies over at the mosque or something, go and join the First Church of Cannabis. Okay. Welcome to the Gin and Tonic Show, where we talk about Islam. The topic that I have, I don't know, I'm quite fond of this topic. What I'd like to talk a little bit about today is Dawah. What is this Dawah? What is Dawah? What is useful about Dawah? How does a Muslim see Dawah? How is Dawah provided? How can you learn how to give Dawah? What are the effects of Dawah? And how useless is it really if you look at it objectively? So I'd just like to spend some time on this. What I'd like to do is talk a little bit about Dawah, okay? Because this is something that is happening more and more and more. And more videos are coming out, and more channels are coming out, everything about Dawah, Dawah, Dawah. What is Dawah? Well, Dawah is actually the invitation to Islam. So what it means is that somebody's going to tell you, look, this is Islam, and there's this God, and there's only one God, and yes, we love Jesus, and everything's hunky-dory, and Islam means peace, and we're a very modern religion, and what we offer you is that you get a set of rules for this lifetime, and when you comply with those, not only do you have a good life here on earth, you also get a reward when you're dead, which is you get a mansion in the sky, and you get sex as much as you want with as many virgins as you want, and you can have wine and everything. So this is the added benefit of being a Muslim in today's day and age. And this is what Dawah is. Dawah is just the invitation. Dawah just is something which tells you this is what it is, and if you join Islam, then it's good for you. Now, why are they doing that? What most people don't know or are not aware of is that Muslims are collecting points. So the way that what it is based on is the hadith on prayer. Okay, so this is the Miraj. Okay, there's two stories where Muhammad lies in bed, and then the angels come, they take out his heart, and they clean it, and they fill it with wisdom, they put it back, and they put him on this flying mule, and the flying mule takes him to the mosque in Jerusalem, and he ties it up outside, goes inside, prays a little bit, then goes up to heaven, and then meets up on the second floor. You have on the first floor you have all the angels, on the second floor you have Jesus, and then third, fourth, fifth, and sixth floor are all different prophets. And then on the seventh floor in the penthouse you have God. So the highest level, the sixth level, is Moses, and then Muhammad goes up to Moses and says, "Well, what you up to? How's it hanging?" And then he says, "Well, I want to go speak to the old man because I need to talk to him about prayer." So he says, "Okay, cool." And he goes up and he says, "And what did he say?" Well, he wants people to go and pray 50 times a day, but then it's a bit heavy. And Moses says, no, I would go back up. So, this is the Arabic, bizarre kind of feeling. So he goes upstairs again to God and says, "Listen, God, 50 times is a bit much. Don't you think it's a bit heavy? Can't you be, a little bit more lenient and make it a bit less?" And then goes downstairs again, and Moses asks, "Well, and what did he say?" "Well, 40. Then he goes back up again, 30. Then he sends him back up again, comes back with 20. Sends him back up again, comes back with 10. And then Moses sends him up, and he comes down with 5. Moses decides, okay, now it's good enough. I'm not going to send him up again. I'll accept 5 prayers a day. And then he says, well, and what did God say about this? He says, no, it's going to be 5 prayers a day, but I will give each Muslim 10 points for each prayer, so we're back to the original 50 points. Now, this is where the point system comes in. From this, the Imams have developed a point system where you have the prayer in a mosque, which is going to be worth 500 points. So in addition to your 50 points every day, if you do this 6 times a day, you got 300, plus the 500, so you get 800 a week. If you pray in the mosque, in Muhammad's mosque in Medina, you get something like 1,000. If you convert a Christian to Islam, you get 2,500 points. And the way that it works is the more points you get, the quicker you end up in heaven, and the closer you will be to the stage. So the closer you will be to God, who's performing tricks there somehow, or whatever. And this is how this works, the whole point system. And this is what Muslims are after. This is why Muslims are actually quite selfish. This is why they give dawah. Number one, because it says so in the Quran, and they get points for that. And then for everyone that they convert, they get credited with some points. And this is what they're after. So this is what they want. So getting the points is then giving dawah to somebody who is not a Muslim. But it's also giving dawah to a Muslim who becomes a better Muslim because of you. And now this goes to extremes, because Rationalizer once called up IERA, who were having a donation drive, and they said, well, actually, if you give me £50 and we give this to a child in Somalia, you will have saved a child in Somalia from starvation for minimum 3 months. So that's good, okay? But you don't know what will happen to that child. Maybe that child will be a Christian. And then what? Then you have saved a Christian. So rather give us the money, because we, IERA, we're going to make sure that this money that you give us is only going to be used for Muslims. So your contribution of £50 is then going to go towards recruiting more Muslims. So you will get more points if you save a Muslim instead of saving the Somali child, where you don't know if this might just die as a Christian. And that's how this works. This is how terrible this whole thing is working. And this is how IERA, they should be ashamed of themselves to do something like this. And it's on video, so they can't go that they didn't do that or something. So there you go. This is what giving dawah means. It is to provide people with some incentive to join Islam and become a Muslim, to say the Shahada. And once you say the Shahada, you're automatically given 2,500 points, and that is it. And then it's up to the person whether they will stay. I mean, most of the Muslims who join just, on the street, they don't stay Muslim long. They just go back. So this is what Dawah is. Now, Dawah has different forms. Dawah can be making a video where you are telling people how wonderful Islam is, and it's all about peace and so on. Dawah can be you going out on the street and handing out brochures to people and giving them something to read, some material. Dawah can be talking to people, putting up an information stand on the street, and then talking to people and trying to recruit them. Dawah can be, almost anything, as long as you are getting in touch with somebody who is not a Muslim, trying to get them to be a Muslim. And now what I would like to talk about, and I'd love other people's opinions on this, is how effective do you think this Dawah is? What way of Dawah would you imagine can be, can be efficient today? Because the standard question, the way that Muslims do it is, you don't know how you were born, and you don't know what created you, and you don't know what made the universe. Therefore, there's a God, and then this is my God, and therefore it's best to join my God. This is the way that they do this. And I think this is atrocious. This is primitive. This is not worthy of the 21st century. So I'd love to know what people think about this, what people say about Dawah, the way that it is performed, whether there is a better way of doing it, or how futile do you think it is. So, is there anybody, Plato, Hans, anybody willing to venture, or is somebody in the chat willing to write something about this, about Dawah?
I think Dawah works on vulnerable people, people who are seeking for answers, are more inclined to actually accept Dawah.
Now, I had a problem with my headphones, I must admit, so I got very little. Can you break that down again?
What I was saying, I think people who are from any religious group.
Okay, the vulnerable, I didn't understand. Okay, exactly. Yeah, okay. So what you're saying, if somebody, because it's true, I also hear that a lot, that people say, yeah, I've had some personal issues where I was drinking, I was a drug addict, and blah, 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 and therefore then Islam gave me the stability and the social environment I needed to stabilize. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. There's a vacuum in their life, and they seek answers. They believe any fairy tale.
Yeah, but I think Dawah works only on these people, especially, not on any people who want to discuss some topics and some issues about Islam. Because I would love to see more Dawah people around to talk to them and to ask them things, but I can't find them here in Switzerland. Although in the news I sometimes see that the light people from Germany have their campaigns here in Zurich and in Bern. And I think the Dawah movement only works for exactly the people Plato mentioned about vulnerable people who seek this whole thing anyway. Because if you go to the Dawah people, if you find one, you can discuss with them. They have also the order to not discuss, but just to give information about their Dawah movement. Meaning, if you ask them about some verses of the Quran and to want to discuss that, they will probably start a little bit and try to take away the whole skepticism about the issue. But after you show them that it's a stupid verse or a stupid topic in the Quran, they immediately will stop to talk about that, etc. Especially the lies actions in Germany and Switzerland, they just will hand out the Quran, and that's their Dawah movement.
But I will also say, people who join Dawah groups or become Muslim, it does give them a sense of community. If they've been outsiders all their life, it gives them a sense of belonging.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah.
Yeah, but
It's not about Dawah.
The interesting thing.
Sorry, I was going to say Dawah in England. If you go to most Muslim communities, there are Dawah groups. Where I live, there are Dawah groups nearby.
Sorry, there's one
Especially
nearby?
Ramzan. No? Dawah groups. There's always, in Muslim communities, there are Dawah groups. You're right, people who are ex-drug addicts or who used to go out drinking and who've rejected their old life for the new life, grow the beard, wear a dress, will try to convert other young people to follow Islam.
Okay, you've come across these guys? Okay,
yes.
That's brilliant. What arguments do they use?
The infinite regress, the Quran is God-given, Muhammad was the perfect person, etc. Compassion, Islam is about compassion. Killing one innocent life is compared, I mean, the usual rubbish. You're right, Hans, if you do question them, they will either, one, answer it, or they'll say that you've become too westernized. You see in the Quran to westernize.
But I have a question. Have you ever asked them why they are doing the Dawah movement in Islamic communities or major Islamic communities? I mean, where's the reason behind this? Shouldn't be the Dawah movement in regions where are more disbelievers?
The reason they do it in Muslim communities is because they believe the Muslim communities are going away from true Islam, and they want people to revert back to true Islam. Because people are Muslim by name, cultural Muslims, they're not practicing, they're not praying, they're not fasting, they're not giving money to charity, etc. They're not dressing modestly, men and women. So they believe the new generation are going away from Islam. They've been too westernized and have been brought into the Western ideal. So they try to bring them back.
But from what I hear from you is you're not all that convinced that this is the right approach using the arguments that they're using, right?
No, I mean, I was never my ex-mother, I was never a practicing Muslim. But once I started reading Islam, I realized it's just a lot of rubbish. But when I was a Muslim, I never practiced it. I was a Muslim by name. But once I started reading about Islam and more I knew about it, the less convinced I was that Islam was a genuine religion. Well, was true.
Okay. And now if you see these groups, do you then go and engage with them, or do you just laugh at them and leave?
I have to be careful when I engage with them. If I tell them I'm an ex-Muslim, they won't talk to me. But if I tell them I'm curious about Islam and I've read a bit, and they can't answer my question, they all tell me, oh, you have to read it in Arabic, or you have to go to a scholar. That's the other two. I have used your videos, Rationalizers videos, Clean Shorts videos, and they all tell me, well, these are people who are anti-Islamic, promulgating anti-Islamic views. I've been threatened on a couple of occasions with beheading in England. I've had people disassociate myself once I realised that I'm not a practicing Muslim. I haven't actually come out to everybody that I don't follow Islam. People keep away from me. I've had family members who will not speak to me.
Wow, that is so amazing. And I hear this so many times, and I do not understand why so many people ignore the statements that someone like you makes. And I don't know why people do that. I mean, it's so obvious, and yet they ignore this, and put their fingers in their ears and sing la 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 because they really try not to hear this. Instead, they make what I said in the beginning, these I feel good about Islam videos or how Islam has influenced me videos. This does not reflect reality at all, not one bit. And then somebody like you comes around and says, yeah, but hang on, it's actually quite the opposite. and this gets ignored. I don't understand. What would you think would be a more appropriate way of providing dawah or providing any kind of message towards a non-Muslim?
If I was going to spread dawah, I'd talk about promoting an egalitarian society, not about hell or heaven, not about dress code, but more of a society based on treating people with respect. A revisionist Islamic view of the world. I mean, take all the good stuff from the Quran and from the Hadith, and just get rid of all the nonsense.
So what you are saying is that, well, you're agreeing that Islam basically needs a huge reform then?
All Christianity, it's gone through this reformation, and I think it still needs to go through a lot more. Islam can actually go through. I think this is a stage. I think these dawah groups are actually helping without realizing, because the more they come out with these videos, young people, people who are older, look at these videos, and actually, if they are examining Islam, one thing Islam doesn't do, one thing was never taught when I used to go to mosque, is to ever criticize Islam or critique it. Never ever criticize Islam. Never say anything bad about the Prophet. You do what you're told. It was 3 indoctrination. You criticize everything else. You criticize the Jews, the Christians, the Hindus, the West, everything else, but you never ever question Islam. If by questioning it, you're doubting it. If you doubt it, you're likely to go to hell. Not just yourself, but your family as well, because you're dragging them down.
Okay, now, are you in contact with anybody else who is still a practicing Muslim who does give and provide dawah to others?
I do know them, but I keep away from them.
Okay, but what do they use?
Do
they think that they are convincing anyone?
Yeah, they are convincing people. The dawah group I know, it is actually amongst other Muslims. I have seen one or two who will go to universities and they'll try to convert people and encourage Muslim men who haven't grown beards to grow beards and women to dress modestly. The tactic is the end of the world is coming. That's the term they use. Not convert, regress. I hear this all the time. Regress.
Yeah, they love this, and I don't even understand infinity. That's the pity.
No, they don't.
Yeah, I also find that as soon as they realize that you know something about Islam and the Quran, they run away. They don't want to engage anymore. They're just scared as soon as they know something.
Jeremy, talk to us. What's your thing about the Dawah movement? Have you ever counted these people?
Not really, but I don't live in the parts. Well, I don't really live in a part of the UK, luckily, where there's a bunch of Dawah people. But my question is, do these people? What do these people think that growing a beard and women dressing modestly will do? So are they literally thinking that if men grow long beards, that their family are more likely to go to paradise or something?
No, this is about pleasing Allah and giving mercy on you, and this is not even associated with any points. It's just that this is just to impose more mercy on you.
But what does that really achieve anything?
Well, yes, it gives you 15 blessings in 3 years.
Okay.
But it depends how much one bless is. I'm getting this from Christians all the time, and I'm asking Christians, how much is one bless? What happens if I get hit by one bless? What is the effect? Or do you have minus blesses as well? And nobody has been able to answer this. They always give, I'm going to pray for some blessing. May God bless you. I said, well, how many blessings are you asking for, and what is the effect? But nobody's ever never managed to answer.
Well, if you want lots of blessings, keep sneezing.
Yeah. One bless per sneeze, yeah. And then what? I've never quite understood this. And why, I mean, dressing modestly, and that's another misconception. I think there are occasions when a girl in a bikini is hopelessly overdressed. So I don't quite understand why modestly is something that should change over time, because modesty 1,000 years ago was different to modesty 100 years ago, was different to, I don't know, 5 years ago. I remember there was, I used to work in Prague, in Czech Republic, and I used to love to going there in summer, because the girls would go, and if anybody knows Prague, there's a central square, and there's cafes all around there, and then the girls would wear mini skirts. And because in Czech Republic the miniskirts were not short enough, they would make slits into the miniskirts that they would be a little bit shorter. So, but today you don't see that anymore. But there was a craze when this happened. So things come and go. These are just different moral standards.
With the burqa, I don't know whether it reflects the same misunderstanding that Judaism does, but isn't it the case that with Judaism you've got the skull cap, and isn't the idea that you don't want to offend God by showing him your bald head or something?
I don't even know where that comes from. I think
if that's the case, it's assuming a total fundamental misunderstanding, because it's assuming that God's up there in the sky, and we now know that he isn't physically.
And why would showing God the top of your head be offending? I mean, didn't this God...
He made it this way, so it's a little bit strange.
Exactly. So it's a bit weird. And then you have, Christians have these funny rules that the women are not allowed to... No, the women have to cover their head in church, and the men are not allowed to. So this is quite weird.
What I heard in the case of Jews is that the little cap is the direct connection to God, whatever this means.
So if you're not wearing a skull cap,
it's modesty.
You can't talk to God.
Yeah, but I don't know if this is not also to do with some sort of modesty, that you are covering something which is then being seen as pleasing God, which is then a more direct connection with this God, because he's constantly checking these little things. I mean, he's checking.
What I was going to say about modesty, the place that other women who wear really tight clothes, but they got their hijab on. So I find that kind of, you can make out everything, leave nothing to their imagination, and I don't understand how is that modest.
Yeah, they wear a lot of makeup. So this also seems a little bit of a, it's hypocritical that on the one hand you say I need to dress more, I need to cover my knees, I need to cover my this, and then on the other hand you wear like 5 centimeters of makeup to bring out your eyes. So that's also a bit stupid. Or does everybody know what the camel hump is when women wear the abaya and that?
Nope.
The camel hump is, I don't know if you've seen this fashion thing where if you look at a woman from the side, that it's not just the abaya, the chador or the burqa or something, but you have the back of the head go up further and then fall down. as though you have like a huge amount of hair underneath there.
It's almost like an evolutionary pressure. The fact that you've had to cover your hair, you're having to find a different way to make yourself seem attractive because you're limited culturally in that you can't actually show your real hair.
It is something exactly. It's because let's face it. I mean, women are somewhat particular when it comes to hair. Ah, here we go. Now, how do I full-size image? Da-da-da-da-dum. Now go away. I do not want to sign in or sign up or something or anything. I don't want to log in.
While you're doing that lady, that lady with the Coke on the plane. If you look at her picture, she actually plucked her eyebrows. Now I'm sure in Islam you are not supposed to, as a woman, pluck your eyebrows.
Why not?
I read it. I can't remember what it was now. I did read it somewhere. You are not. There's certain things as a woman you're not allowed to do.
I think this eyebrow.
I'll check it up and I'll get back to you.
I think this eyebrow thing was to the man talked and not to the woman, as far as I remember.
All right.
I think it was towards the men that they are not allowed, but not the woman. Anyway, well, stop. What are you doing? You are searching the picture, or what?
The stupid thing is I'm looking for a picture to demonstrate this, but all I see is Pinterest, and Pinterest does not allow me to show a photo unless I sign in, log in, and I don't know what they're trying to do.
Well, give me the link, or give the link people in the chat of Wong, and they can look for themselves.
Well, I can't. I cannot get there because it's always telling me, no, before you do that, you first need to sign up. And I don't want to sign up.
What is this thing called again?
It's a camel hump. And on Pinterest...
Camel hump hijab.
Camel hump haram. Pinned from by user... Why do I need to
let me
pin
share
it?
the screen for you here. Just a second, so that people can see.
And then he comes up, see, sign up, continue with Facebook. I don't want to fucking continue with Facebook.
Yeah, but look here. I mean, as long as Google works.
Ah, you have it. Okay, all right. Do you see in the second row the woman with the camel hump and now it's gone again. The woman with the oh no, I need to click on this. The woman with the camel hump and then the red circle and crossed out. You're not allowed to have the camel hump.
This one. Yes.
This one. So. This is exactly the camel hump. And if you go down a little bit, there on the right you have evolution. There you see the evolution of the. Go up a bit and more to the right. There, evolution. There you see the camel hump. And this is what you see a lot. This camel hump. If you go down a little bit, you will see girls actually wearing this. Where was this?
This or what?
There was a photo just now, a little bit lower, and you had different. No, you're getting different results to my. Anyway, the point is, I think everybody understands now. It's when the hijab goes up before it comes down, making it look as though you've got too much of a hair underneath, and that is what is called a camel hump. A camel hump, and you see this when girls are going out, like on a Thursday evening, and they go to the shopping centers and they go and they, chat amongst each other and then comment on the boys going the other way. It's like the ones are circambulating to the left, the other ones to the right, and then there's hectic activity on the phones when they meet each other, and this is the sex life in an Islamic state. Yeah, exactly. There you go. Camel hump hijab. There you go.
That's an extreme one. That's
The-
way too sexy.
Yeah,
Makes all
absolutely.
Muslim men come. Not good.
This is why you
Stop.
you know
Can I ask
that,
you a question?
Yeah, sure.
You
Ask
said you
away.
worked in the Middle East. Are there Dawah groups in the countries you've worked in
No,
the Middle East?
no, I've never seen one. No, because there it's different. The way that I did it is, if I was interested in anything to do with Islam, then I go to the mosque, and people are extremely friendly. People are extremely accommodating. People are tolerant. People are nice. People are hospitable. They are really brilliant people. It's only when you get extremists that it changes. Because the people that I met are really brilliant. I mean, I went to the mosque and I said to the guys, listen, I've got some questions and da 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 da. Why do you want to do this, and where is this, and why does it say in the Quran, blah blah blah. And then I got in touch with the Imam. Then over time, like, he used to invite me over. Then he used to chase all the women out. They had to sit in the kitchen, and then he brought the tea for me, and then the biscuits, and blah blah blah. And then you had 20 men sitting in a circle in the living room, and then we would all discuss Islam. And this was all very friendly, very cordial, very civilized. And if I wanted to go further, then they referred me to the Islamic Cultural Center, the Fana in Doha, for example. So I would go there, and then I would speak to the Quran scholars there, the Quran teachers. And then, after a couple of months, as soon as they saw me, because I usually come in there on a Saturday, because the Saturdays are off like Sundays here, but Friday is the main prayer. So I'd go there on a Sunday, and then they would come with tea, and then we would sit together and we would discuss things. And this was always brilliant. I was always welcome. There was never anything. But you don't see this on the street. Number one, it's too hot, okay? And number two, if you have any questions, you have lots of places where you can go to.
When I was young, I went to the mosque, and I asked the Imam regarding dinosaurs. I said, what are dinosaurs? He told me that dinosaurs are jinns. And he told me, and he told
Plato, what did you say?
I asked him, I said, the dinosaurs, the Quran doesn't mention dinosaurs. I asked him, I go, well, what are dinosaurs? So he explained to me that dinosaurs are jinns, jinns who have died on Earth, and that's what he's explaining. And he told me after that not to question, not to think about it too much.
Oh,
And I know Muslim people who blatantly reject that dinosaurs really existed. These are people who were brought up in the West, studied in the West, and are educated, who flatly refuse that dinosaurs ever existed.
Yeah. Yeah, this is quite funny. I remember I was in a shopping center in Durban, and I didn't know that these were Muslims at the time. Okay, this is a couple of years ago. I was sitting and we were talking about mountains, and there was an earthquake somewhere, and we were talking about tectonic shifting and how the mountains were being moved every time there was an earthquake, and some earthquakes actually move Earth. They actually tilt. They change the tilt of the entire planet. And there were some people, some Muslims, who heard this, and they said, no, this is not possible, because God, if He only puts earthquakes as a punishment out there, but He would never do anything to Earth. And then I laughed this off. I mean, I just laughed at this, because they were clearly under the impression that God is something who monitors whatever people do. And if some foreigners go to Malaysia and they take the tops off and they run topless on the mountain, then He needs to punish the people, so He sends down an earthquake. And this is exactly what these Muslims in Durban were trying to tell me, that there is some controlling mechanism that was controlling the mountain. So it was not tectonic plates, it was not mountains now being created and mountains now moving, that is all a misconception, because it's only God who can do these things, and he only does this as a punishment. And I didn't know at the time that these were Muslims who were thinking like this. For me, that they were just deluded idiots. That's what I knew about them, because I didn't know anything about Islam at the time.
I think for Muslims, the critical faculty, they indoctrinate them so much that they are unable to actually use the critical faculty.
Yeah, but they switch it off.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
They reject it, and if it seems logical, then they will say, no, it can't be. And then my logic is wrong. And this is what I see a lot. And if somebody writes something in the forum and says, if there is a mistake in this, it is my mistake and not God's. God's cannot make a mistake. And that's it.
That's exactly what Hamza Sources and Dawah Man, Dawah Boy says in their videos. If there's a mistake, it's not Islamic mistake or the Quranic mistake, it is my mistake.
Now, that's how brainwashed they are. And they will repeat this. I mean, it's like a mantra. There is no mistake in the Quran. Then you show them like 1, 2, 3, 15 mistakes in the Quran. They will insist there is not a single mistake. And you've just shown them a couple, but they will refuse to acknowledge them.
Yeah, well, actually, there's no mistake because you haven't read the classic Arabic. And if you read it in Arabic, you'll find there's no mistakes. It's your English translation, which is a mistake.
Yeah, of course.
Because I've done that. I've actually I've shown this about, you don't want to speak Arabic, so you don't understand.
Yeah, this is quite weird. Okay, but what is the best argument you've ever heard from a Muslim?
None really.
Anyone? Jeremy?
I've never heard a single good argument.
I have.
If I had, I'd probably be a Muslim.
I spoke to a Muslim guy, and I said, in heaven, you can get everything. He said, yes. I said, well, in heaven, I'd like to have the best joint ever. Have the best thing ever in heaven. I want the best cannabis ever, and I want the best beer ever. And he looked up in shock.
You are cruel.
Yeah, well, he was a drug dealer. And
is the prohibition on pork and alcohol just a temporary thing of this world, and then once you get to heaven, it's going to be allowed?
Well, it's up to interpretation.
That's exactly what I said.
Because okay, if you go and interpret the Quran that the worst number one, if you interpret the Quran that it was a gradual weaning of alcohol, that in the beginning it was still okay and blah blah blah. It's not like pork, which says, listen, you're not allowed to fucking eat pork. That's it. You're not allowed to have sex if you're not married. No. But with alcohol, it had to be slowly. So they started off with saying, well, rather don't until it's the work of the devil. Now, if alcohol is the work of the devil and you can get wine in heaven, how the hell did the devil get up to heaven to install wine rivers in heaven? Then they realize, no, this is not true. This is not possible. Then they go back and they say, yeah, but hang on. It says that you cannot get intoxicated. Meaning that as a human in heaven, you can drink as much wine as you want, but you will never get intoxicated. It's just a nice taste. And then I say, no. That's the wrong way of interpreting it. It means that the wine in heaven is not actually wine. It is non-alcoholic wine. It doesn't affect you in any way. And I said, well, then why call it wine? But then this is, again, logic, so you can't do that. So it's all, down to interpretation whether you're allowed to have alcohol. And then the pork thing, I mean, everything in heaven is like totally different than it is on earth. So if you want a Vienna schnitzel in heaven, of course you can have it, but it will not be made out of pork. It will be tofu or something stupid.
But then it's no Wiener Schnitzel.
Well, then it's not a Wiener Schnitzel, exactly. But it's like, the whole thing is a cop-out. I mean, come on. As soon as you start applying logics, the whole thing just crumbles. So,
have you heard about the Arabic words, well, Allah and Muhammad written on animals. I was told by this.
Of course.
Well,
You get this all the
well,
time.
I was told by this guy, and I explained to him. I went online. I said, "Well, there's a picture on Allahu on a pig," and his face just dropped.
This is the same as the Jesus picture on the anus of a dog. It's all very nice if it happens in a nice and decent way, but if it's like this on a pig or an anus, then suddenly it doesn't work anymore. What was the immediate reaction?
He was shocked, and I asked him, I go, "Could you eat that?" He looked at me and go, he wasn't sure. He said, he didn't know what to say. I did speak to another Muslim, and I told him that I eat pork. I said, "How can you eat that?" I said, "Well, I say Bismillah before I eat it, so I bless it." And he said, "Can you do that?" And I said, "Well, yes." And he tried it, and he said he likes sausages.
Of course. I mean, a friend of mine's got a couple of pork restaurants in Kuala Lumpur. And of course, what is very popular are the back rooms where the people can't be seen. So there you go. It's hypocritical and it's not real. All right. So let me just summarize. We haven't been very successful, have we? We've established what Dawah is, how it is performed, and we've shown that it's highly ineffective, and it actually does the opposite. In other words, people rather laugh about this and find flaws in the approach. It doesn't work. So. Not very successful, and yet people swear by this Dawah thing. I'm asking myself with tears in my eye, why? Why is that happening? Why do we get more and more Dawah channels, and they all say, "Yeah, we have to give more Dawah," when it is so inefficient and so stupid? Is it just the hope that maybe 1 in 1,000 will give you the Shahada because of it? I don't know. I don't understand what it could be. What is the motivation for Muslims to carry on with this stupid Dawah?
I think the reason the motivation is because they realise people are leaving Islam, so they're trying to counter it by actually producing Dawah videos, especially Dawah man. I mean, if you look at his videos, his target audience are young people, and the young people. I mean, his latest video regarding music is haram, so don't listen to music.
Yeah, but he's scraping the barrel.
He is.
Can I have a link to that? A link to that? I suppose I can just look at.
Yeah, if you just go on to Dawah man, he's a bit of a clown.
That sounds more funny than his average video.
He's a file rapper. It's interesting that he said that music is haram. Like it was, like I said, it was a file rapper. His whole, and he will tell. If you go to his early channels, you'll see he'll tell you about his life story. That he will say that he was a successful rapper, which he wasn't, and he left all that because he saw the light. I think he may have been Hamza or somebody from Aira, which helped him on the path on Dawah.
I think it's the only way for them to do any commercial for Islam anyway. So, of course, they have to do it. Even if it means work for maybe convert every one of 10,000 little boys or girls. The success is not really high, but they have to do something. If they do nothing, I think Islam will shrink and would shrink way faster.
Do you think that Dawah actually has an effect?
On some people, yes, and mostly those people are like Plato said, young people, mostly young people, and who don't know anything probably about Islam. And like in Germany, you know Spam, the famous Pierre Vogel. I mean, he's so proud if he can convert in front of camera some little boy, 12-year-old, who can't say the Shahada right, and after 2 minutes and saying the Shahada, he is so proud that he converted one young man, and everybody in the room claps their hands, and we have a new brother, and yes, that's the whole issue. So
And he bumps into some Christians of Jehovah Witnesses, and then he converts there.
no, I think this little boy or girl will stay a little bit in this group, and probably after 2-3 years, he realized that the social aspect of this group isn't that much fun if they are propagating maybe hitting your wife later if you are married and he doesn't behave right, or that you have to hate disbelievers or things like that. So, yeah.
Going back to Dawah groups, Muslims, Dawah groups talk about anti-capitalist views. Yet it seems to me Dawah organisations are a modern day business. They spread the word of Dawah. They ask for donation to reproduce Dawah material, and they make a living from it. I saw recently Dawah man went to Brazil during the World Cup. Hamza Sosa makes a living off it. It's a business.
Yeah, this is true. I actually forgot about the business aspect of the whole thing, and I think that's quite powerful. It's true, and they're making a lot of money. I mean, it's funny that they no longer are providing the income statements, which they should as a charity. But I remember seeing one where it was close to $1 million. The income was $1 billion in 1 year.
That's it. I'm starting a Dawah organisation.
Yeah, but remember those were the heydays when Hamza was going crazy. But this was before he was killed by Professor Meyer, Hultboy, and Krauss. This was still when people thought, well, he's the new messiah here.
I think to start a new Dawah group is quite difficult. I mean, Hamza Tzortzis and his group, they have already the infrastructure and the people who have their positions and their position to do their work they do. One is the technical guy, the other is the talking guy like Hamza, and I think to start a new group is quite difficult today. Even if they are the good Muslims in the way of trying to do real Dawah, I think they would have a very difficult start.
But it's so funny because then somebody like Hamza Tzortzis is a clone of William Lane Craig. So he just copies everything the Christians do, and then he converts it into Dawah, and then he gets killed, and then London Dawah movement, this Imran Hussein comes up, and then he is now a clone of Hamza Tzortzis, who is a clone of William Lane Craig, and William Lane Craig was sent into retirement by Professor Carroll. So now the origin of the whole clone strand has been killed, but you still have Hamza Tzortzis running around universities, and you still have Dawah man, and you still have Imran Hussein copying Hamza Tzortzis one to one.
Yeah, but
one-on-one.
Hussein has clearly the infrastructure of the whole issue. I'm quite sure he didn't build up a real new group. The whole thing
that's what they did.
Is the same. So
no, but that's what they did. They built up the whole group from scratch.
I don't think so. I think that
LDM.
I think the same people are behind the same money giver are behind the whole issue. I'm quite sure.
So you think that LDM is just another branch of AIRA?
Yeah, why not? I mean, why should they really be against each other? I mean, Hussein and Tzortzis knew each other, or do they not?
Yes.
He quite openly says he's copying Hamza, like word for word.
They also ask for subgroups. They always ask Muslims to actually start up Dawah groups. It's like a pyramid system. They will help. There are Dawah groups. One of AIRA name or London Dawah group. There are other Dawah groups. They all tend to know each other, and I think it is like a pyramid system. but money is actually funneled up.
Actually, now that you mention it, I remember seeing the IERA logo on LDM, and I remember Hamza coming on the LDM show and vice versa. So it could very well be that there is some sort of affiliation there, yeah.
Maybe
It's not like Hamza been destroyed. It's a
the new group probably have.
Sorry, I was going to say, it's a shame that we haven't got the video.
Sorry, we're talking now. There seems to be a lag. Plato, you start. What was this about Hamza?
I was going to say, it's a shame we haven't got the video between Hamza and Arif Ahmed.
Yeah, that's strange. I would have liked to see that as well, because it sounds like the account of his on his Facebook page is a little bit too optimistic. So yeah. Okay, and Mr. Hans See-Through, what did you want to say?
What? Yeah, that IERA is probably also just a little branch of some higher organization.
I think they may be associated with Zakir Naik.
Yeah, well, Zakir Naik is one of the co-moderators or speakers, but I don't think he's like active inside the group, inside the company, with a function.
Yeah, well, probably the Zakir Naik is also just a branch, and you should have a little insight in the whole money floating, where is it going and where is taken and who is getting from where money, etc. And if you would know that, I think you will see the whole picture. But
well, they only declare them as donations.
Yeah, that's the problem. If they are declaring something like that, you will not get the real information you need to build up the real picture.
Absolutely, this is true. Unfortunately,
it's always about money.
What kind of, all right, if we look at Dawah today, what kind of approach would you say is the most effective in killing it?
Ridicule.
Okay, I did that with Hamza, and I did that with LDM. They both shut up for a while. Now Hamza's back on circuits running the universities. So, you know, this is a temporary stay. So what if I do, if I concentrate now on Dawah, what would you suggest? What I should address first of all? Because my idea is, because Hamza made a speech at a university about Islam, and he used 4 points. One of the points he used was that you do not understand God's big plan. They always say this, you have the pixel and he's got the picture. So you're a stupid idiot, you don't understand, you don't know what's going on, and you just need to trust God. The way that they do this is they take the story out of the Quran where Moses goes on a trip with Kidar, he makes a hole in the boat, and he kills a boy, and all sorts of things. And it shows how primitive this whole thing is. Now my idea was to take this one story, which they're using a lot in these Dawah videos, and then go through this point by point to make one video about how making a hole in a boat, having an explanation that making the hole makes it useless for the king who is acquiring the boats to wage war on Muslims is really a bad idea. And then saying, this is why it's a bad idea, this is why it's stupid, this is why it's ridiculous, and this is why it's absolute total bullshit. And then taking the next one. Why would he collapse a wall because people will later find a treasure underneath and blah, blah, blah? Why is that a bad idea? And do the same thing and go one by one and make short 2-minute videos describing the situation, describing why it's ridiculous, and then showing reality or something like that. This is my idea, but I do not know whether this is going to be effective. This is why I thought, what would your idea be?
What I find... Sorry, carry on.
I would say it's not such a good idea, because they will then say, well, you are not viewing the whole context thing, and yeah, that is their argument, and I think they try it with this argument that you are not viewing the whole content, and just looking at one verse is not showing the whole issue, and you are a liar, etc. I think it wouldn't help if you make such short videos, even if it's
And
true.
you show the context as well.
Yeah, but then I think you get longer than 2-minute videos. I think then you are back to your normal videos.
No, you can't have that because the attention span nowadays doesn't do that. Doesn't allow for that.
I'm just saying what they
But I was gonna
say.
Yeah. Okay, Plato.
What I find interesting, I mean, not that approach, but the historical claims which are made in the Quran, you can show that they are not historical claims. Regarding the Red Sea, Moses and Pharaoh, no evidence that there was a battle. There was no armor or anything found within the Red Sea. Historical accounts, I think that one of the things I find interesting. The Quran makes certain claims, historical claims, by historical figures, which didn't exist, or their account of it is completely inaccurate. I was told that Adam was this giant. There hadn't been any evidence of human giants fossils found anywhere.
Okay, but that's not from the Quran. This is not based on Dawah.
That's the hadith.
And I'm looking for
yeah,
things
yeah,
with
okay.
Dawah, whether this is efficient and effective, and whether you can pull this off, and how to do this best so that it has the maximum impact.
I saw a video once regarding the snakes in the grave.
That's Phil Hellenes.
That was hilarious. That was yeah. I find ridicule and more effective. I think the approach you will take. I mean, you are going to get Muslims who will say that. I mean, you've taken it out of context. But then again, you'll get one or two who will look at it and think. But you're always going to get many who won't think about it. But it's the one or two who will think, will question it. And hopefully they'll see for what it is.
How about adding a section in there which is what to ask a Dawahgandist?
Well, that sounds more attractive.
Yeah.
And to give them some hands-on material, ammunition.
Yeah, I think that would be
That
more
sounds better.
efficient. Make a like 3 or 4 minute little clip. Make the issue about the claim, which is talked in some Dawah movies or Dawah clips. Do the counter argument, and then place a question to ask them for other people.
Okay.
If you
All right,
know.
then that's what we're going to do, and try this and see what happens.
That should work because Dawah videos, LDM, IRA, talk about debate. Sorry,
Yeah, because
don't
I'm
have-
not talking strictly talking about this the counter Dawah response. So, okay, I think that's it for today. Let me not overrun that. I'll see if I think MSS is on today. I'll pop in there and see what they have to say, and maybe I can get DPR to give me a few minutes so that I can go and cry on his shoulder about the closing of the gin and tonic, and update him on the developments, what we're doing at the moment.
Are they having their live show now?
I think yes.
What's the do you know their channel name on? Is it on Vaughan Live?
No, it should be Magic Sandwich or something like that. I just know that they have a homepage.
I thought it was on Vaughan Live. Oh, maybe.
They also have it on Vaughan Live. They have this Magic Sandwich show. Oh, this is just the timer. I don't have their homepage. Anyway, but they do have a homepage somewhere, and there they have the links to the Vaughan Live as well.
It's just vaughanlive.tv/magicsandwichshow in one word. They are live now, right now. They are live.
Okay, then we'll stop and I'll just head over there and see what he says. All right, guys, thank you very much. This was the Gin and Tonic Show, and we are non-Muslims, non-believers talking about Islam. Any closing comments?
What about the Hadith of the Week? Stop.
Shit, I didn't have one, and alas, I didn't make it into the show, and I don't have one. Does anybody have a Hadith ready?
No. Only in German. I couldn't find some.
Oh, shucks. Let me see if I can find one on the go. Recent, do I have? I can't find my hadiths. Damn it. No, I can't. Sorry. No hadith this week, because I'll have to wait until next week. I am so disorganized today because I got so sidetracked with these stupid stones that I was moving around that I totally forgot time and how long it takes to take slabs of concrete and line them up so that they make some sense. So now it's dark, so I'll have to do that tomorrow. All right, guys. It's been fun. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of the weekend or whatever. And we'll see you next week for the Gin and Tonic Show.
Oh, yeah. My comment would be that it works quite well with Vaughan Live. I think Vaughan Live's worked okay. You know, once you get past the teething troubles.
Okay, so do you think I loaded Explorer but got restart computer? Then next week, okay, Russia's still missing. I don't know what happened to him. I'll have to go and see. Can't get enough. I stopped going to movies. So wait, what? It would be Stopspamming today, and I'm disorganized. I'm sorry. I apologize profusely. I know I will not go to heaven now anymore, and I will spend the rest of eternity in hell, and I will burn and Oh dear. Bye, everybody. See you next week.
Okay, bye.